we will obviously be voting for Restore Britain in this coming election. However, we are also a little bit skeptical because over the next 2 or 3 years, we want to make sure that this party, this amazing pure party, doesn't get subverted and become basically like reform, right? Either being infiltrated by the traitors that the Tories are, or being infiltrated by the three people we're going to talk about today. All right, Christian, bro, I'll let you handle the first person that Rupert Lowe and the team need to be careful of, that if they did infiltrate, Restore Britain would definitely ruin the chances of us actually getting remigration, actually getting good policies that will deter migrants and get rid of the illegals and all the stuff we're actually voting Restore for.
Right, let's get to it. Now, first of all, we've got number one. Number one is anti-Islamic activist Tommy Robinson. Now, I wouldn't have a doubt the man's commitment to his cause. He has been to jail a couple of times, so he's put in his work. But essentially, Restore need to steer clear of Tommy Robinson because Tommy Robinson is first and foremost an agent of the state of Israel. I wouldn't even be shocked if he preferred Israel over to us. And that's really not saying something when you listen to the stuff he said. I'm sure anyone watching this video would be familiar with that appalling, groveling interview Tommy did in Israel with one of their defense ministers, where he basically apologized on Britain's half for not backing them enough. I mean, that's sink in. The guy literally apologized for us for not helping them more than we do. It's not like we send them tons of money that we could spend on ourselves. But that's besides the point more. Tommy Robinson needs to stay away for two reasons. First of all, is the Israel connection. If we're not sovereign, we're not achieving what we truly want with Restore Britain. Sovereignty is first and foremost paramount to a patriotic Britain. We can't have a single foreign state dictating what we do if we are truly want to actually enact change and restore what we once had. We used to call the shots. We don't want to be the one getting dictated by this tiny little state in the Middle East. Tommy Robinson is paid by these people, and he influences politics in that way, which segues into the next point that I'll bring up, why we should be hoping to steer clear of Tommy Robinson. And that is that he is first only really concerned about Islam in the UK. Now, let's make one thing clear. Islam is a threat to the UK. 100%. It is not compatible with the West. You as a Muslim, I'm sure, agree. So it's a fine cause, sure. The issue is Tommy makes it the only cause, okay? If Tommy Robinson had his way, we'd only get rid of Muslims and we'd still have however many other minority populations remain in this country. Now, it doesn't take you don't have to be a statistical genius to realize that the higher proportion of immigrants in this country aren't just Muslims. They are Indians. They are from Africa. They are from all over the world. If you incorporate Tommy Robinson into the movement, you essentially just incorporate this counter-jihad frame. Now, the counter-jihad frame, to quickly summarize, is this idea that the only threat really to Britain is jihad and Islam. Other issues don't really matter. Jihad is paramount, which obviously ties in with Israel's agenda, because Israel, of course, are very antithetical towards the Islamic State and would want to see us, on their behalf, getting involved in wars to squash jihad. Tommy Robinson cannot be part of this because he is A, bought and paid by another state, and B, he will just subvert the message of Restore into just, okay, it's just the Muslims. It will get in the way. He comes with an absolute ton of baggage as well. Not saying that we need to appeal and appease leftists, but at the same time, he is one of those figures that is just so easily criticized and almost embarrassing to have associated with your movement. I'm sorry. What are your thoughts, Muslim bro?
Yeah, I think 100% you don't want him representing you because he's not truly representing you. He's representing Israel. And so he's going to end up saying things that Rupert Lowe at some point in front of the journalist is going to have to answer for, and Rupert's going to probably be thinking, hold on a second, this is subversion. Like, this isn't even a topic we should be discussing. There's more important things to be talking about. Another thing as well is if you were to put Tommy Robinson in Whitechapel, but then all the mosques were shut down, everybody was dressed in, let's say, Western clothing, even though the person, let's say, was still Pakistani, still Arab, he probably wouldn't care. Because at the end of the day, if it's just about Islam, and the Muslims, let's say, were keeping it secret that they were Muslim, or they, said, oh, do you know what, I'll tell the people that I'm not Muslim, that for him is all he cares about. And that's not a real cause. That doesn't fix the root problem of immigration, nor does it fix the root problem of basically the British population in the future becoming a minority. And so, yeah, I think a big one that you mentioned there as well at the end was you really don't want him, making a serious political party look silly, right? You don't want him representing Restore at all.
And it's a broader issue with the right in Britain in general, to be honest. I mean, the biggest network that we have in terms of dissident media is probably the Lotus Eaters, and sadly they are still kind of affiliated with Tommy Robinson. I mean, if you remember the march last summer that drew in a lot of numbers, it ended up becoming the Tommy Robinson March. So I guess it's not just Restore themselves that need to kind of disassociate, but it is actually the right in general that needs to disassociate from Tommy as well. Simply put, you just can't have a movement spearheaded by a foreign asset. And I would bet, I am a gambling man, but I would bet a lot of money that Tommy Robinson is completely and utterly bought and paid by the Israeli state and Mossad.
And let's just be honest here. Yeah, moving on. Look at him in his flip flops on top of an Israeli tank. Come on now, like how are you gonna take that seriously?
Yeah,
and now we got this man. Do you like my shoot? Tell me. Do you like the way do I look rugged? Do I look rugged right now with my aviator glasses?
It looks quite military-esque. We've got our favorite catty journalist, Douglas Murray. Now, Douglas Murray, again, for similar-ish reasons, we need to make sure he isn't part of the Restore Network either. Now, we bring in Douglas Murray more on the concern that if you watch the interview with Rupert Lowe and David Starkey, Rupert Lowe did speak of Douglas Murray quite favourably. Now, if we're being hope-pilled and rather optimistic, we will put this down just because Rupert Lowe has read The Strange Death of Europe, which at its time and still today does make some good damning points and is a well-written book. But again, Douglas Murray can't really be associated because, like Tommy, he is part of the Israeli network. He will always have Israel as his first agenda. He's Israel first, not Britain first, which will mean that Restore, if co-opted by people like Douglas Murray, will end up not focusing their efforts on remigration and deportations, but to further committing to pointless foreign wars in the Middle East. There's a great analogy on a channel called Academic Agent, which I highly recommend you subscribe, that basically goes along like this for the Zionist network and how it works with power in the UK. You'll have, let's say, one group that wants to build a roof on the church, and they go to group the people above them to get some funding for it. Well, the people above in this metaphor are the Israeli lot. They say, yeah, we can help you build the church roof, but shouldn't you really be focusing on this issue over here? Then once we get that done, we can get the church roof built. And slowly but surely, those people that are lending them the money get more of their people in, and before you know it, the church roof is forgotten about, and we're doing the whole other issue now. And we've seen this happen time and time again. Like, just look at MAGA in America. Douglas Murray is also a lot more deeply integrated, I'd say, into the system, a bit more respected than Tommy Robinson. So he's not necessarily like a bad figure to have in terms of how he's seen by the other side, but he is at the same time part of the establishment. Let's not forget Douglas Murray writes for some of the big media networks in the country. He really will have the influence to be able to subvert Restore to that level of politics. He might have issues, again, with full-on deportations as well. As far as I'm concerned, he's only really bothered with the migration because it contains Hamas supporters and Muslims. I don't think, again, he really cares about reversing demographic change. And I'm pretty sure he's said on record too.
Another thing I'd want to add as well is that the danger of somebody like Douglas Murray is to turn an issue into primarily a psychological or a rhetorical issue rather than an issue that should be taken seriously. And so oftentimes what people like Douglas Murray will do is they'll talk so much about a problem and they'll offer so many different solutions that the public end up thinking that the solutions have been enacted or end up feeling satisfied, similar to what Jordan Peterson does, right? He gives you the feeling of change. He gives you the feeling of something happening. And when basically attacking an issue, instead of attacking the pragmatic or logical side of things, or simply trying to find a way to solve the root problem, I'm going to give the example here of remigration in terms of thinking, right, cool, well, how should we detain people? Where should we place them, right? Who do we detain? What it ends up being is a whole conversation about the history of Europe and how somehow the Jews will be brought back into it anyway, but like how these people
Judeo-Christian values.
exactly, like it goes back to Judeo-Christian and how, you know, this universal religion needs to come back and we should be allies with them. You're like, hold on a second, how did we go from talking about detaining illegal immigrants to this? And that's the danger here. It's that everything will end up being spoken about, will end up being what's the word I'm looking for? Communicated to the public. When a serious issue gets taken on by somebody like Douglas Murray, it ends up being transformed into a non-issue or into something that has nothing to do with it. And so the public feel like something has happened, but instead all we've done is just had psychobabble, random bits of history, going back to this Judeo-Christian religion. And again, nothing gets done, but a lot gets spoken about. That's my point. A lot gets spoken about. You feel like you've learned something new. As the person reading the article, you feel enlightened, but your country has not changed.
Yeah, he's a fox. Plain and simple. Douglas Murray's a fox. He's almost like those. He's like a cat in an animated film. You know, when you always have like a dog movie and you have the kind of conniving cat in the background that's quite zesty. He's that figure. He'll be happy to speak. He'll be happy to maneuver, but he's not a man that we need right now. He's not a hard lion-esque figure that will be willing to sacrifice.
You put him in front of the red button. The analogy I can think of is you put him in front of the red button, let's say a nuclear button, or just the red button of change, and he will turn around to the crowd and make a beautiful speech. And then just as he's about to press the red button, he'll talk about why it's so important to press the red button, what's going to change in this world, and he'll spend hours describing the world. He'll turn around to press the red button, and again, he'll turn around and tell people that they are the heroes, they are the brave ones, and nothing will get done. So you have this cycle of motivational talks, this cycle of, you know, psychological analysis, but nothing really changes, you know? Anyway, let's move on from this guy. And here's another photo you can see with his real allegiance, not to Great Britain, not to the UK, not to his people, but to these guys.
No, but the medal is quite fabulous.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
The big reveal on who was the missing guy in the thumbnail. I'm sure you're all eagerly awaiting who that might be. But yeah, the last person we got is Elon Musk. Now, obviously, Elon Musk is in America. He's not going to be a direct member of Restore or ever really truly be involved on the ground with them. But we flagged Elon Musk particularly because of what he could do ruining the party through Twitter. Now, Elon Musk has endorsed Restore Britain as the right candidate. Cool, I'm glad he thinks that. The point is, though, Restore must, and luckily they haven't so far, but Restore must not engage with any of these tweets at all. They cannot be seen to associate with Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is, quite frankly, a bad odor for any political movement at this point. He's completely hated by the left, and fairly so. I mean, the guy, will go into the many ills of Elon Musk. But if Restore directly engage with Elon Musk, they're essentially tying themselves up with someone that is quite literally part of the Epstein elite, or tried to be. I mean, he was too much of a nerd to actually get into it, but he was willing to be there. The left can also just massively criticize it, because as soon as Elon Musk gets involved, suddenly it's a foreign billionaire trying to subvert Britain to the right and install fascism, and we can't have that. So we can't have any foreign billionaire having direct association with Restore Britain.
100%. And one more point I'd like to add as well is that the billionaires' agendas have nothing to do with a nation. They have nothing to do with a nation. Primarily, and these people, if you look at their entrepreneurial spirit, for example, are driven by one thing and one thing only, which is profit. They don't tend to be driven by the idea of their nation, or like it's something we still get taught at school. A lot of the, I'd like to say, old school entrepreneurs, maybe the initial migrants that went to the US, maybe your great grandfather, people who started their business in support of their local community. Yeah, of course. Like they did it for the benefit of their country, right? Like, I'm building a railroad in my country to help my people. Whereas all these people care about is maximizing profit, minimizing costs and expenses, and making sure that their profit margins are as high as possible. And like, a lot of them just swiveling nerds. Like, none of them really have a backbone. Like, they're really good business people, cool. But you don't want them to be on any committee. You don't want them to be chair people on your party's committee either. You don't want them to represent you whatsoever. Because again, they have no allegiance to real estate. They have their allegiance to money. And oftentimes money will lead you in a very different direction to what you want to happen in your country. So yeah, he's one of those people. I think he just represents the billionaire class, really, the tech elites, if you will, as well. They don't care about the country at all.
I mean, hence the H-1B visa issue that happened in America, where Elon really did show his true colors in that he wanted immigrants still coming to the UK, but to America, but as long as they were legal. As long as they're legal, it's fine. I mean, that's a big distinction that people obviously need to be aware of now. Legal, illegal, it doesn't matter fundamentally. And that's the point with entrenched capital. And we'll probably make a video on this another time, going deeper into it. But big capital and people like Elon Musk and his kind of Peter Thiel type tech globalists, fundamentally, the transfer of people from poor countries to rich countries like the UK benefits them because it increases the people consuming. All they want is people consuming. Now, again, as we mentioned, he is in America. He's not going to be directly tied to Restore in any way, but it's more the fact that Restore just cannot ever and must not at any point show any support for the positive things he's saying about them. They cannot engage with Elon Musk, primarily because it's the easiest stick to beat them with if they have a foreign billionaire backing them. That will ruin them in the elections, and the left will be able to use that to a great degree. He must away from them. Primarily as well, just because, I mean, I don't even genuinely think he is, like, I don't know about you, man, but I don't even get the impression that he's genuinely right-wing. I always get the vibe from Elon Musk that he's someone that's desperate to be liked. Probably, I mean, it's proven he doesn't have many friends. I think he's desperate to be liked, so he kind of just hopped on the right-wing bandwagon just to get a bit of approval. But ultimately, if you look at what he actually does and tries to push through, you can really truly see where his colours lie.
Yeah, a lot of these people are generally just mentally unstable nerds. Like, I know it sounds really rude in a generalization, but think about the tech billionaires, like who these people are. Like, they are just nerds. Not a lot of them are just kind of weird. And the biggest concern I have as well is the volatility of these people. Like, they are willing to change really quickly for some reason. I don't know if it's like an autistic trait or something. Again, I'm not judging. I'm just like trying to understand this as well. But they'll have one opinion one day and they'll have another the next day. You might have a huge investment from them come in at this point, but then once their agenda changes, they have no responsibility. They have no accountability in either way. And I think this fundamentally, like I said, comes down to being profit driven. It's like, as long as you're not losing money, as long as your shares or stocks stay up, you don't really care about what consequences your actions have on people or on a state, as long as your business doesn't suffer. And so they're almost representing a body, there's the business in this case, that doesn't really have a moral ground. It doesn't really have any idea of what's right or wrong or what should happen. It more so just has the idea of one thing and one thing only, like I said, being profit driven. And so, yeah, I've honestly just the volatility. This is just Elon Musk specifically as well. Like, you look at this guy's Twitter account, X account, like, it's just, you just think this person's like crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just posting anime, like anime things, and then talking about this, and then talking about immigration here, and then talking about how he's going to spend all his money this. And like, again, we go back to the Epstein email very quickly. Like, probably just Tallulah and me, what Days Night will be the wildest party. Like, this guy wasn't really invited. Like, you need context for this maybe a little bit. Like, he wasn't really invited. Like, Jeffrey didn't even want this guy coming. Like, one of the most disgusting men ever doesn't want this little nerd coming. Like, you just have to think of how bad that is. But anyway, this is getting into like nonsense, but you get what I'm saying here. Like, it's just the volatility.
It's true. And you made a good point again. It's like big capital. I mean, Restore will obviously need, going practically, they will need big capital. They will need people with some leverage. But I think the point is to really try and find those Thomas Carlyle coined captains of industry type millionaires and billionaires, which Rupert Lowe is. But we need those type of businessmen in it. And that is that kind of substrata below the real true billionaires, maybe the multi-millionaires in the country. Like Jim Ratcliffe, for example. That could be a good person to have on board. But
I think actually that's really interesting you mentioned that. I think having either British-led founders or, you know, British-led industries coming back, or also motivating the expats, right? The expats that have maybe moved to the UAE, sorry, or moved abroad. The ones that have the ones that have service-based businesses, or the ones that kind of are still attached to the UK, but they haven't had necessarily a reason to stay. And I think Rupert can definitely use their help, maybe for fundraising or for having capital behind him, but also motivate them to be here. Because, like you said, these leaders of industries, these giants that can bring up a country, oftentimes they're motivated by helping their citizens and helping the people in the country that they're in. Their business makes money as well. It's not going to make maybe as much money as hiring some random Somali for your Uber driver, like Uber does, but it benefits them as well. So maybe there'll be a middle ground there that we can look into as well, Christian, bro. Another video we can make about capital and how it can be used effectively in politics.
But yeah, just to summarize, basically, restore. Yeah, stay away from Tommy Robinson. Stay away from Douglas Murray. Stay away from Elon Musk. Primarily because in the first two's case, they do not have their loyalty aligned to Britain. I think that's proven. And finally, avoid Elon Musk because any real association, I don't know why I said that word like that, any association between Elon Musk and Restore will definitely damage their chances of winning the next election. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? That'd be really generous. No, but generally, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the stuff that YouTube likes. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. Who you think Rupert Lowe should be avoiding? What's this like? What was the thing people say? It's like vote low, something high, something like that. Like something like that.
Hey,
I don't know.
aim high, vote low.
That's it. Aim high, vote low. That's it. I like that. I always see it in some of the comments. But God bless you all. Take care of yourself, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.